Good day all, welcome back to South Africa, and this is South African Prepper. So as you can see, a cold morning here in South Africa, double layered, winter is definitely here. So for this video I've compiled two different videos. The first video is a video from within the Senate. This video comes from just before or during the Cyril and Trump meeting. And here you can see what the Senate wants to do to South Africa or specific South African leaders. And then the second video is a media briefing after, I think it's about 2 days after the Cyril and Trump meeting. So before I share these videos with you, so just two last things regarding the Cyril and Trump meeting is that number one, those two golf players and Johan Rupert, the billionaire, I'm not sure why they went, because firstly they are unelected, they're not elected officials in South Africa, so they're not forming part of parliament. And what a disgrace to take white people and then to blatantly just say that your agricultural minister is white. I just want to add that our agricultural minister knows nothing about agriculture. He's actually just purely a career politician. He knows nothing about the day-to-day dealings of a farm. And then the second thing is that both the leftist media in America and in South Africa, which were present at that specific meeting, and then even afterwards, you can definitely see they stuck on the genocide thing. They really want the world to discredit the fact that there's a genocide, and they stuck on this specific point. Now, I just want to say that it's an absolute disgrace. Every single death from here on, every single person that's going to get hurt because you are denying what's happening in South Africa is on you. It's disgusting to hear how the media carries on after this meeting. It's a disgrace. Okay, so because of this, I've decided next week you can go to our second YouTube channel, Patriots of South Africa. I have decided to compile a video about how farmers actually live in South Africa, how they make sure that they are secure, and there's specific reasons why we see specific farmers or individuals on farms being attacked. So go to Patriots of South Africa, keep an eye out for that video. It's a matter that is closely related to us and a lot of farmers. And I think it'll shed, for our international viewers, it'll shed a bit of light what is really happening in South Africa. And you know, if Cyril wanted to be truthful, he could have taken a normal farmer. There are farmers out there that would have just told the truth, not like the rest of these idiots. Enjoy the two videos. Please like, share and subscribe, and God bless.
Secretary Rubio, thank you for being here today and for the incredible work that you and the department are doing. We're really proud of it. Thank you. I want to echo your opening statement. America is back. From bringing home hostages held in Gaza, initiating peace agreement between the DRC and Rwanda, countering China's influence around the world, and much, much more, we are back. Thanks to the great work of President Trump and your great leadership, the United States is restoring its place on the world stage. No longer will the United States refuse to engage in foreign policy and diplomacy, but rather we will lead with peace through strength. I've traveled a lot recently via my various committees, including this one, throughout the continent of Africa. And one thing I've seen is that we've really neglected Africa. We have spent a lot of money and wasted a lot of money there, in my mind, with no strategic thought whatsoever into how we're spending this money. I have a question for you regarding South Africa. South Africa has withdrawn from America and our allies in recent years while increasing diplomatic relationships with our foreign adversaries, deepening cooperation with China, attacking our greatest ally, Israel, at the International Court of Justice, downgrading Taiwan's diplomatic presence, and condoning violence and race-based persecution against minorities. I fully support President Trump's executive order to bolster the administration's efforts in combating the egregious actions taken by South Africa. To support the administration's efforts, I recently introduced the U.S.-South Africa Bilateral Relations Review Act, which would conduct a full review of our relationship with the Republic of South Africa and allow for the use of targeted sanctions against corrupt officials in the African National Congress. Secretary Rubio, have you seen South Africa align with our adversaries like China, Iran, and Russia, and do you believe a full review of our bilateral relationship would be beneficial in the U.S.'s posture and strategy toward this country?
Yes, on your first two questions, and an interesting topic, and maybe even as we speak, the President is actually meeting with the President of South Africa who requested that meeting, and it will be happening today. Obviously, I'm here with you today, otherwise I would be at that. So I imagine these topics will be raised there as well.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
A couple of questions about South Africa and also Sudan, if you don't mind. In South Africa, the State Department is empowered legally with deciding when a genocide exists. Has there been an investigation that supports any such contention, because there is no credible evidence from any authority on the ground there, in their government, in NGOs, or elsewhere that we can find to support an allegation of genocide, that white farmers are at all as disadvantaged as the crime wave there, that is a problem against blacks in much greater numbers, and proportionally even greater numbers than whites. The fact checkers have shown that the white crosses were put up as a protest against the criminal movement and against the death of the farmers. The crosses and the burial were all part of a protest against the criminality, not as described. So what information was given to the White House, if any, by the State Department, by the experts in the field, to support what was described as an ambush widely around the world of a South African visitor who had a celebrated background as a leader of a biracial government, and someone who was jailed with Mandela and who has been one of the civic leaders of a new South Africa, as troubled as their history has been, as troubled as their current situation is.
Well, I would say that, as we all knew, of course, the President has been very vocal about his concern about the violence, the nature of what's been transpiring in South Africa. The President did not come to the United States of America unaware of the position and the posture of the President and of the Secretary of State and of his administration. So I would argue against very much that there was some kind of an ambush. South Africa also has been facing a dynamic where there's been regular criticism, ranging from not just the collapse in some ways when it comes to the violence in civil society, but then the referral of Israel with the ICJ for the issues of genocide while ignoring Hamas, cozying up to Iran, the general choices that they've made. In the meantime, also, of passing a law that has allowed them to take property, to possess property of white Afrikaner farmers with no reason. One element is equity. And so when you're passing laws like that target a group, ostensibly sending a message to the population that these people have a price to pay, there's something that they need to be doing, that they deserve to have their land taken, combined with the chance of killed boar, the massive rallies where encouragement of violence is prevalent and is at the core of it, in addition to the associations South Africa and its president have chosen to make, like with Iran, and their actions against Israel. It creates a picture that is worthwhile having a conversation in the Oval Office. And that is, I think, it is the transparency of the president, certainly both leaders aware of what the concerns have been and what the arguments have been. So I don't think President Ramaphosa was somehow surprised or shocked at the fact that we have an honest man who's in the White House who's spoken and continued to speak about violence and the trajectory of South Africa.
But what I'm just suggesting is that the facts matter with the credibility of the president, and that as it was explained in the Oval Office, and it has been explained elsewhere, that is a a minority party, a protest party that is legally permissible, but that the white agricultural minister said in the Oval Office, that's why we joined the coalition, to make sure that they didn't get into the parliament, that they don't have power. They've been, they've been
Well,
opposed.
in the nature of the weeds of something like that, where that individual, you saw also the larger video of the thousands and thousands of individuals in a stadium framework. And I think that what Americans in the world and what South Africans see is a movement and an attitude that is not only not punished,
But it's not a majority
reinforced,
movement.
but Andrea, reinforced with a law that says, oh, those people that you're calling to have be killed, yeah, let's take their land. Who does that? Who does that in the midst of that environment? And I think that when we think about, I'm not certainly going to get ahead of the president. President Trump is someone that the world knows, says what he thinks and acts on what he thinks. But I think that it was very clear, and he's been clear, as has the secretary, about the problems with South Africa, the nature of the signals that it sends, the quality or lack thereof of life, the fact that we have taken in refugees, very basic standard of looking for asylum, they've met that standard, and it's more than just complaining. It is about acting and finding
Well,
an
now that you
element
brought that
where
up.
we can make a difference for those people.
Taking of a land, first of all, it's with judicial review when it has happened. It's not
Now,
that-
let me
it's not
correct
that
you right there,
different.
Andrea, and then I'm going to move on. This particular law they tout has not even been implemented yet.
That's correct.
This is, but, so it's not about judicial review. The law, if you have a judicial review of a law that says there is no standard, well, then you'll have judicial review of no standard.
But they have not taken
All right,
the land.
but this,
so-
and it is in part, I would argue, because of the global attention that has been placed on them because of President Donald Trump's attitude, his comments, and bringing attention to that framework in general. That is why that hasn't been acted on. And I will move on,
No,
but I think I've been
brought
clear.
up
Yes,
the
Matt,
refuge-
I
excuse me,
think
you
you have
brought up the
probably something to
refugees.
say.
Let me just-
Yeah, Andrea, you've had 4 questions. I've answered them. You've asked in depth. We are going to move on. Yes, sir. I'm sure others might have the same sort of question. Yes, sir.
Thanks, Amy. Two, I think, should be quick ones on sanctions. One, can you just explain the discrepancy or apparent discrepancy between what Secretary Rubio tweeted last night on Venezuela sanctions and what Special Envoy Grinnell said